All right, so are you ready to dive into some seriously insightful advice about life?
Oh, absolutely, I am.
It's from Anthony Pompliano's book, uh, How to Live an Extraordinary Life. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have actually.
Yeah.
It's the one written as a series of letters to his children, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like we're getting a peek into his personal playbook for success, you know?
It is a pretty cool approach.
Yeah, and it really is. And one of the things that really stood out to me was how much he emphasizes building a foundation of character.
Yeah, from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like that's step one for him.
Right. He even uses this metaphor about ethics, saying that they should be as unyielding as stone.
I love that.
It's a
Yeah,
powerful image, right?
it is.
Yeah.
And then he has this twist where he says like, okay, your ethics should be solid,
Right.
but you shouldn't be afraid to change your opinions if new information is presented to you.
Right.
And that flexibility actually shows strength, not weakness.
Absolutely. It's about acknowledging that learning is a continuous process.
And that ties into another interesting point he makes about how we should tie our identity to our character and not things like job titles or positions.
Instead of looking for that validation from the outside, you find it from within.
Exactly. You find a deeper sense of stability that way.
And then that leads to, I guess for him, that leads to this idea of clarity,
Yes.
which is essential for him for living this extraordinary life.
He really believes that if you simplify your life and strip away distractions, your purpose will become clearer.
Oh, I like that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It's like if you have less clutter,
Yeah.
you can focus on what really matters.
Right. But what I found really intriguing was this idea that clarity then becomes like a quiet signal of mastery,
Mm-hmm.
that it actually attracts opportunities to you.
He describes it as an aura of confidence that draws people in.
Do you think that's true?
I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you meet someone who's grounded and knows what they want, it's appealing.
They seem to have like a magnetic pull almost.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess for our listener out there, think about where you could simplify things in your own life.
Yeah,
What distractions might be holding you back from your goals?
that's good. What else did you find interesting in that section?
We also talked about this idea that plans are useless without action.
Oh, yeah, I love that quote.
Yeah. You have to start moving towards your goals, even if you don't have all the answers.
It's so easy to get stuck in the planning phase,
Oh, it really is.
you know?
But he's saying don't let perfection be the enemy of progress.
Yeah.
Even if your first steps are imperfect, just start.
You know, he suggests breaking big goals down into smaller steps.
Yes. Make them more manageable.
He uses the example of writing instead of aiming for 2 perfect pages a day.
Just aim for 2 pages.
Period.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
good. And I mean, you think about it, even if you only write 2 pages a day,
Yeah.
that's over 700 pages a year.
It's the power of small, consistent actions over time.
It compounds just like interest in a savings account.
Exactly. Speaking of finances, he has some interesting thoughts on that too.
Oh, yeah.
He really emphasizes living below your means, not just to save money, but for the freedom it brings.
Yeah. I like that. If you're not constantly stressed about money, it opens up options for you.
Exactly. More flexibility to pursue your passions.
Right. Or take risks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He also talks about the importance of investing wisely, especially for the long term.
Yeah. Did he talk about compounding?
He did. He's a big proponent of letting investments grow over time through the power of compounding.
Like planting a seed and letting it grow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it requires patience,
And discipline.
which is something he emphasizes throughout the book.
Yeah.
He sees discipline as that bridge between starting something and finishing it.
Mhm.
Building those habits of follow through, no matter how small, builds confidence.
You start to trust yourself more.
Right. And your ability to reach your goals.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground already,
We have.
but we've only scratched the surface.
We've got lots more to uncover.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into how to live an extraordinary life.
Yes. We'll be exploring his advice on building meaningful relationships and nurturing your well-being. Welcome back. In this section, what really stood out to me was Pompliano's emphasis on small gestures.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like he says that simple acts of kindness, like calling a friend to chat or sending a handwritten note,
Right.
those little things can have a big impact on your relationships.
Yeah, I think sometimes we overlook those little things.
We do. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day
Right?
that we forget to just reach out and connect.
And I think also being present when you are with someone, actively listening
Yes.
to what they have to say.
Pompliano really highlights the importance of truly hearing what the other person is saying,
Yeah.
making them feel understood.
Making them feel seen.
Right. Have you ever had that experience where someone really listened to you
Oh, yeah.
without judgment or interruption?
It's a good feeling.
Feels amazing. You feel seen and valued.
Yeah. You feel respected.
Exactly. And that's what deepens relationships.
Builds trust.
Trust and respect.
Yeah.
And, another thing he talks about is the company you keep.
Oh, yeah.
The people you surround yourself with can have a big influence on your own life.
Who are you spending time with?
Right. He encourages spending time with people who inspire you.
People you admire.
Yeah, whose qualities you admire. Because their energy can be contagious.
It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, or something like that.
Exactly. Their
Yeah.
habits, their mindsets, their values all have an impact on you.
It makes you wonder, are the people in your life lifting you up?
Or holding you back.
That's a good question. So we've talked about relationships. What about taking care of yourself?
He talks about that too,
Yeah.
both physically and mentally. He sees this as the foundation.
Through everything.
Yeah, for everything else. You can have all the ambition in the world,
Right.
but if you're not healthy, it's not going to matter.
What does he recommend specifically?
Well, simple things like getting regular exercise.
The basics.
Yeah. Prioritizing sleep,
Eating well.
eating nutritious foods.
Yeah. It sounds basic,
But it's important.
but so many people overlook these things.
So true. What's interesting is he connects those habits to mental clarity and emotional well-being.
Yeah. When you take care of your physical health,
It frees up your mind.
it does for other things.
You're not bogged down by feeling sluggish or tired.
He also talks about decluttering your physical space.
Yes, a disorganized space can lead to a cluttered mind.
Right. I totally believe that.
A clean and tidy environment promotes peace.
Focus.
It's about creating a space that supports your well-being.
What about your workspace?
Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah.
What small changes could you make?
How could you make it more calming?
Could you declutter your desk?
Add some plants.
Maybe open a window for some fresh air?
It's amazing how those little things can make such a difference.
They really can.
Yeah.
So, we talked about relationships and well-being.
Let's talk about money.
Let's do it. Pompliano is big on living below your means.
Again, we're back to the basics.
Yeah. But not just to save money.
It's about freedom.
Freedom and flexibility.
Right.
Exactly.
You're not tied down by all this financial obligation.
Right. It's about aligning your spending with your values.
If you're constantly chasing the next thing,
The next gadget.
you're going to be stressed.
You'll never feel fulfilled.
It's about experiences.
Relationships.
Living a life rich in experiences.
Yes, not just material possessions.
What about investing?
He talks a lot about that too. He emphasizes long-term investing.
Letting your money grow over time.
Exactly. He's cautious about get-rich-quick schemes.
Right?
He sees investing as a marathon.
Not a sprint.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is how he connects investing to lifelong learning.
Okay. Yeah, tell me more about that.
He sees acquiring new knowledge and skills
As an investment.
as an investment in yourself.
I like that.
Every new piece of information adds to your value.
Makes you more valuable.
It opens up new possibilities.
It's like investing in your own potential.
Exactly. He's saying your mind is your most valuable asset.
You gotta keep learning.
You have to keep learning and growing,
Stay curious.
whether it's reading books, taking courses.
Having conversations with people who have different perspectives than you.
Exactly. It's about staying curious and embracing a growth mindset.
Now, building on this idea of growth,
Mm-hmm.
what about making decisions?
He talks about that too. He says not every choice carries the same weight.
Some are more important than others.
Right. Some decisions have a far greater impact on your happiness and well-being.
What are some of those decisions?
Well, things like choosing a career path,
Starting a business.
committing to a relationship.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, he encourages us to focus our energy on those choices,
The ones that really matter.
the ones that align with our values.
And shape our future.
And sometimes that means letting go of things that no longer serve us.
Like toxic relationships.
Unfulfilling jobs.
Limiting beliefs.
Exactly. It's about being intentional.
Making sure your choices are leading you towards the life you want to create.
Right. So we've covered relationships, well-being, finances, and decision-making.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
Pompliano really packs a lot into this book.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into this book, How to Live an Extraordinary Life.
So, we've talked about building resilience and strengthening those relationships.
Use investing wisely.
But now let's explore his thoughts on, finding purpose and living a life that truly reflects those values.
Yeah, that sounds good. So what stood out to you in this section?
Well, one thing that I found really thought-provoking was his idea about viewing our lives as documentaries.
Like our life is a documentary.
Yeah, he suggests that like every experience, every challenge, every triumph
Right.
becomes part of our story.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. It's kind of a cool way to reframe how we look at those tough times.
Instead of seeing them as failures.
Exactly. They
I
become
agree.
part of our narrative,
They shape us.
right? And it also highlights how important perspective is.
How we respond to things.
Yeah, the meaning we give those events directly shapes our story.
It's not just about what happens to us.
It's about how we react to it.
Right. We get to choose how we see things.
Exactly. And, documentaries aren't always happy and lighthearted.
Right.
They delve into complex themes.
They show the full range of human experience.
Exactly. And our lives are like that, too.
Yeah, they are. It's not about creating a perfect version of ourselves.
Right. Embrace those flaws.
Embrace the messiness.
The challenges.
Yeah, the things that make us who we are.
Exactly. He also encourages us to document our lives,
Okay.
Not just through writing, but through photographs, too.
Pictures.
Yeah, he sees photos as more than just images.
What are they then?
They're vessels of emotion and connection.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they capture those moments in time that we can revisit.
We can look back on.
Exactly. When you look at old photos, what do you feel?
Yeah. It brings back those memories.
It does. You re-experience those moments.
The emotions.
The relationship.
I like that.
It's a way to anchor ourselves to the past.
Remember how far we've come.
Appreciate our journey.
It's like those pictures become tangible reminders of our growth.
Exactly. What about wisdom? Did he talk about that?
Yeah, he did. And it was interesting. He said it often comes to us in random pieces.
Like little nuggets of insight.
Yeah. That might not make sense at the time.
But they hold some truth.
Right.
He suggests writing those ideas down.
Even if you don't know how they connect.
Exactly. It's like collecting puzzle pieces.
You got to gather all the pieces before you can see the whole picture.
Right. Trust the process.
Be open to those unexpected connections.
You never know when a small thought might lead to a breakthrough later.
Yeah, that's true. And I know he also acknowledges that sometimes life just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. There are challenges and twists and turns that we just don't see coming.
And it can be frustrating.
It can. But he reminds us that we don't always have all the information.
Right. We only see a small piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. What seems like chaos now might later reveal itself as a turning point.
A turning point for the better.
Possibly leading us in a new direction.
It's about having faith in the journey.
Even when it's confusing.
Trusting that it's all going to work out somehow.
Trusting the process.
Mm-hmm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
If you were writing a letter of advice to your future self, based on everything we've talked about today,
Wow, that's a good one.
what's the one most important lesson you would share?
What's the guiding principle you'd want to remember?
It's a good question to think about.
It is.
Because ultimately, the power to live an extraordinary life is within each of us.
Yeah, we have the power to choose.
We can choose to be resilient,
We can choose to invest in ourselves
nurture our relationships.
and embrace the adventure of life.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out today.
It's a process.
A journey of learning and growing.
And it's that journey with all its ups and downs that makes life so extraordinary.
That's where the magic is.